Gordon.
Talk to me, Cleveland. This is your brother, Kevin Chill Hard. And here we are with the super producer, Felicia Haney on Chill Talk. What's going on, Haney?
Everything. Man,
All right.
we haven't been on here like in forever. Well, I
I'm
haven't.
saying, man, I'm like, geez, not on a well, yeah, you're right, you haven't. So you haven't. You ain't been on here in a month.
Sounds about right.
Any explanation, or you just rolling with it?
Y'all know I had COVID.
They saw it posted.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an experience all in itself. So like pretty much all of November was kind of shot for me. So yeah, I got sick on the 5th. Then I got admitted to the hospital a week later. And then I was there for more than a week. And then I had to come home and do some recovery. So yeah, November was just shot.
But you made it out.
I made it.
They had the whole free beachy campaign going.
I made it, man. It was quite the experience. Now, been talking to my friend today because her mother's pretty much in the same situation. She has COVID. They finally talked her mother into going to the hospital because she didn't want to go. So she went today and they kept her, and she's on oxygen as well. My nephew currently has it, but he seems to be doing well. He just says he just kind of feels like he has a cold. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of pretty much it. But it came right at the start of basketball season. So he's kind of missing out. He's already missed a couple games. So hopefully he will be well very soon and make his way back to the court. My neighbor, Miss Vaughn, she also has it right now. I mean, like, man, it's just rapid fire.
The entire Cleveland Browns football team has it. Now half the Cavaliers.
Now the Cavs, yes. So it's crazy. And I know, did you guys hop on yesterday? Well, yes. Friday. That was Friday.
Yeah, we did. So we got your cousin on, McKinley. So he talked about an OG Shankster. That was something. And they talked about their new joint, their new anthem, Walk 'em Like a Dog. And they got all the information out, all the information about their merchandise, all of that cracking. And
they need to be talking about welcome to the emergency room. Walk them off the field. Something good, gracious. And then they postponed the game, but only like 2 days. I'm like, what is 2 days gonna do?
Hey, well, I think basically they gave us those extra 2 days for the team to be able to practice. They didn't care that we were missing 17 players, but they had to shut down the whole system. So the Browns couldn't even report to practice. So they didn't want to send cats on the field without any practice. So we don't even know if those players who were on the COVID protocol will be off the COVID protocol, but at least the players that we do have were able to get in some practice. I still have confidence in our third string quarterback, my man Nick Mullins. Slick Nick Mullins, third on the bench.
I think he's the only one repping Nick.
Hey man, me and Smooth was having this argument. I think I am, but I'm trying to tell you, we got the coldest third string quarterback in the NFL. Nick Mullins is gonna make it happen if he has to play. Yeah, I'm letting y'all know that right now. But but after
somebody else got pushed to like Tuesday, didn't they? Another team was having some COVID issues. I can't remember who.
Yeah, but in addition to McKinley and OG Shanks on, we got a chance to get my cousin on, legendary DJ Ellis Moore. People know him from the USA Skates. They know him from WDMT. They know him from hosting the Club Style Show. But he was on because he's the president of the Really Big Show on ESPN Cleveland, the Cleveland ESPN radio station. And he does these speeches before every game. And I mean, man, they get you pumped up. I think he made us win the game against Baltimore. So he talked about, the Browns, how it is, how he became president of a really big show for Cleveland's ESPN radio. And and then we talked about some old school hip hop. And then we had to talk about, Felicia, I don't know, we talked about, you saw the sign outside of Lee Road Baptist Church that said, welcome home or welcome back MC Chill. And it all goes back to me and my cousin getting thrown out of the church. And so we talked about us getting thrown out the church way back in the day, and they welcomed me back with a big giant sign outside the church on Lee Road, which, I got to talk to that pastor there. He got me on that one. It was love.
Now, how did y'all get thrown out the church, and why has it taken this long for y'all to get welcome back?
Okay.
What did y'all do?
Everybody that saw the show the other day knows the story, but the quick version is I was 9 years old. My cousin Ellis was 8. His brother Craig was probably 10. So we like 8, 9, 10. My parents sent us to walk to the church for Sunday church, gave us some money for the collection plate, which we stopped at the candy store and made it happen. We had Now and Later, Sugar Babies, Sugar Daddies, Bub's Daddies, Bazooka Joe, Hostess Fruit Pies, Ding Dongs, Ho-Hos, the little wax bottles of pop that you got to bite the top off to drink like 2 sips, a sip and a half. Anyway, we went to church and we clowned. I'm talking about, we had a full out picnic ruckus. Lady came, told us to hold that foolishness down like 5, 10 times. We didn't stop. Finally, and we kicking the people's seats in front of us. We throwing food, man. It's just going down. They throw us out. And they said, don't come back unless you have your parents with you. And when your parents come with you, don't come to the church part. Come to the office.
Tell them they thrown out too.
Tell them to come to the office. And I think my parents were so embarrassed that we never returned back to we never returned
They
back.
said, you ain't getting me called in the office.
We joined another church. We joined Olivet. But I and you were there, Felicia, when I met the pastor of the church at the academy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him how they were doing a story on me for The Land, an online newspaper, about my work with the COVID awareness vaccine hesitancy. And they were looking for Lee and Harvard areas for him to shadow me at while he talks to me about, what I'm doing. And it was suggested by my mother that I go to the church. And I was like, I don't belong to that church. And they thawed my ass out of that church. Then we see the pastor of the church. So
wait a minute. Somebody said Reverend Chicken Wing did you a favor by kicking you out. Who was it?
Hey, the pastor back then when I was 9 was this old white dude. And the pastor now is a cool dude because he hanging out with us at the academy. But yeah, so he let me be able to get in for them to interview me. And so we stopped at my mama's house. We stopped at Lee Road Baptist Church. We stopped at Ken Ferguson's. We stopped at the barber shop. And we went up to Harvard Community Center. So he got his full out Lee Harvard on with me. But as I'm coming down the street, there's a great big sign in front of the church that says, welcome back, MC Chill. I'm like, wow. So yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, so that was the story. But I talked to my cousin Ellis. We reminisced on how we clowned out at the church and how we got thrown out. And he said that he hasn't been welcomed back. He needs a letter from the Pope, the Archdiocese, somebody. And I said, I can't come back if I don't have my cousin. We got thrown out together. We got to come back together. But hey, I appreciate Pastor Quincy for allowing me to come there in my Lee Harvard neighborhood to get interviewed, as well as all the other people that allowed me to come there and get interviewed. So, and they said it's going to be a 7-page spread. I'll keep everybody updated on when that comes out.
Okay.
So there it is.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, somehow I got lost on the ChillTalk feed on Instagram.
Okay,
Facebook. I'm trying to get back to it.
Okay, I'm on. So let me see. Okay, Stereo is in the building. Quentin is trying. John Malcolm is correct. Yeah, I see that. John Malcolm is cracking up. What's up, John Malcolm? Yeah, man, we clowned out. We got thrown out that church back when I was 9 years old. But anyhow, that's what happened. So yeah. So Felicia, I saw real quick somebody was in the waiting room, but just that quick they were gone. So
they may have just been testing or something.
Okay.
He was sending me a text message, so I'm assuming that's what it was. I was looking on there.
Okay, but we are also going to talk about, we have a guest at 9 o'clock, but we're going to use some of this time to talk about some movies, man. This movie season.
Well, really, all of it is film related. I mean, we're going to talk about some films, but our guest that comes on at 9 deals with all films that are shot in the city of Cleveland.
In the city of Cleveland.
This is like a special film edition, but we'll probably delve a little deeper into some other things. You know, all that she does, because she is a woman of many talents. But yeah, so this is kind of like our special film edition / end of the year edition, all that good stuff. But you were about to say something.
No, I'm just saying lots of good movies out. You know, I'm a co-founder of the African American Film Critics Association, so they send me a lot of films. But man, I'm realizing that Netflix has a lot of films out, and you know, I appreciate all the films they send to me, Netflix, but I have Netflix, so you know, I'm waiting for Spider-Man to come in the mail. But which is one of the movies, you know, that we saw and we'll be talking about. But yeah, lots of good films out. And one in particular is well, two, but one is a heavy situation in Cleveland. So we're going to talk about quite a few films. So I don't know what you want to hit first, Felicia. Oh, okay. Let me know when you're ready to let Kareem. He's back.
Oh, he can hold on. I told him we weren't getting to him yet. Unless you want to talk about that one first.
It's up to you. Call it out.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about the ones that are out first. So the one that Chill was referring to, the 137 shots, which is like, man, if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. But we'll jump into that momentarily. So since we have our guest already on the line, we can go ahead and bring him in, and we're going to talk about probably one of the biggest blockbusters, which came out this weekend, which is Spider-Man. So, there he is.
Man, Kareem is getting more grown every time. He was just a little kid when I saw him. He's like a grown-ass man right now. Take yourself off mute, Kareem.
I did not know I was on mute. My bad.
All right.
Good to see you guys. How are you?
Kareem, how old are you now, bro?
6.
He's 16.
Yeah.
He just turned 16 this month. We actually had a little celebratory birthday dinner at his. What'd you say?
December 3rd.
December 3rd.
Yeah. How old was Kareem when I first met him? When you first started bringing him around?
Probably 14, 15. But yeah.
I
Well,
think
you were younger than that.
it was younger than that.
Yeah, you were just 15 a couple weeks ago.
Right. So probably like probably 13.
Yeah, because I remember we picked him up at the
Right.
school one time.
Oh,
He
yeah.
he's hung out with us a couple of times. So well, at least with me, I know he always hangs out with you.
I think I met you in 7th grade, so you may have been 13 when I first met you.
Yeah.
13.
Yeah. So yeah, it's we've been hanging ever since. But this is my future politician here. But so we hung out on his birthday. Like he said, his birthday was earlier this month on the 3rd, and we went out maybe like 2 days after that to we went to eat at a nice restaurant in Little Italy. And I know a lot of us don't get out to Little Italy.
Yeah. It was
But-
just amazing. I worked there, so I know the food is amazing. So I have to go get that stuff again. I never see them again.
Yeah, so he wanted to go there. That's where he chose, and we went there for dinner, and it was amazing, really good. I mean, and I won't say, I'm including myself in that in terms of people who don't really visit Little Italy like that. I mean, I'll drive through it, but you're talking about like going to a lot of places. I mean, I've been, but not really. It's not a frequent thing, We got some history on that. I remember being little, and my aunt was like, not little, but this is probably like when I first started driving. She was like, "Don't stop in Little Italy here. Don't stop at a red light in Little Italy. They'll pull you out your car."
Hey, we had a history with Little Italy. We didn't really go through there, but I've been there a few times now. Kevin Conwell likes to go there, Councilman Kevin Conwell. So I've been through there with him. I was there one time with Don King. Man, I thought it was going to be drama because Don King was just talking real reckless to them people. But apparently,
he said, "You thought I only stumped people out on Cedar? Did it happen in Little?"
Hey, he's a made man.
Get stumped out Little Italy.
No, he's good in Little Don. Mr. King is good in Little Italy. So, he got love there, so he could talk a little freely. But I've been there a couple of times. I'm still a little cautious from the history. But good food and seemingly good people there. So yeah, last few times I've been there, it's been nice. But definitely a place that we absolutely positively did not go to back in the day.
Right. And
No.
I grew up in Little Italy, and my mom, she's been working there for I think 12 years. And I never knew this history until I did the thing with Dr. Vanessa at CSU.
Vanessa Jones.
Yes, Vanessa Jones.
Right, our girl, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I learned about how like the Freedom Day in 1964 and the Civil Rights Movement, and when Martin Luther King Jr. came down to Shaker. I did not know any of those things until
you could get snatched out your car and get a beat down back in the day.
yeah.
We got facts, we got receipts on that one, but no problems today. We have love for the people down there in Little Italy. Good people, good food, good environment now.
I hope so.
Yes. So when we were there, he mentioned that he wanted to see Spider-Man, which had not yet came out, nor had we gotten any info at the time on a press screening. So shortly after that, literally maybe like the next day or 2 days later, got an email saying that there was a press screening for Spider-Man. I could not, this only been, like I said, it was only a day or two. I could not remember for the life of me who told me they wanted to see Spider-Man. Who told me they wanted to see Spider-Man? I couldn't remember it. Then it dawned on me it was Kareem. So I hit Kareem up and said, "Hey, you want to go see the movie this day, this time?" He was like, "Oh my God, yes." So like we were in lockdown. So I go see another film the day before. There was another press screening for a film we'll talk about briefly in a moment, a journal for Jordan. And on that night, the night before the Spider-Man screening, I find out that there are no guests allowed at the screening. So I had to crush Kareem with the news that I could not bring him to the screening. So I made good on it though. And we went this weekend on Friday.
Yeah.
So
No, Thursday.
Thursday, that's right. We went Thursday. So I invited him to come on so he could talk about the film and give us his because we got a little thing. We've seen a couple other Marvel movies together. So, you know, when certain things happen, I'm turning around to look for him to see like
I don't want to bring that up. Okay.
We just gonna say when Iron Man passed, it wasn't a he was looking like that. Only it was tears coming
He
out.
shed a tear when Tony Stark heroically
Not
left
just a
us.
tear. Not just a tear. It was a little bit of a tear.
Felicia, was he all out crying?
Oh, he was done. I'm like, I mean, like done.
Nah, it's kind of like, you know, if you have a pet and the pet dies, like that's the type of cry I had. It wasn't that serious for like a relative, but like something small.
Oh, well, some people really like their pets, and it seemed like you like yours. If that's
If that's how you give it up, so
seemed like you was in love with your pet. But anywho,
hey, Kareem, don't be ashamed, man. The Iron Man Tony Stark character brought back the whole Marvel movement. So yeah, when Tony was gone, man, that was the end of that whole legacy.
And I must say, I get into arguments about this all the time because I'm Team Iron Man all the way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I love the Iron Man franchise. I love the three. And like you said, he's the one who brought the MCU to light. He's the first movie. You know, so when he did die, it was kind of unexpected, and he had a daughter at the time, and I was
Morgan.
thinking about girl. Yeah, I was thinking about Morgan.
Morgana.
I was like, how is she gonna deal with this? Like, I just felt real bad.
Like, how is she gonna do it in real life or in the movie world? Like,
she still got Pepper Potts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
And Happy's hanging around.
Oh yeah, I guess. I hope they don't do nothing to him.
All right, so let's talk about this film that everybody was kind of waiting for, because one thing about these kind of films, these Marvel films, it's like whether you were a comic book reader, whether you're a huge Marvel fan who goes to see, you know, like everyone or not, or you're just kind of like a casual fan, like, you know, it's a big movie, I just want to see it. They kind of always seem to be, you know, great entertainment, kind of for everybody. So Kareem, I want you to tell us though your thoughts on the film. Like initially, first, if you had like one word, what would it be?
Nostalgic, really nostalgic. You know,
good one.
It was such a great movie. Probably the best Spider-Man movie to ever exist. Definitely 10 out of 10. I think I might go ahead and say one of the greatest movies in a while, you know what I mean? Not just Marvel or like not superhero. It was really good, you know. And when I say nostalgia, the way they took music from each Spider-Man trilogy, you know what I mean? Like Amazing Spider-Man and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, you know. Sorry about that. And when it comes to the action, there was amazing action. And Willem the Green Goblin, he's 66 years old, and the way that he stated that he did all of his stunts and how just awesome that is to me, because like you can do CGI and stuff like that, but he did all that on his own, you know. So, and Tom Holland, he really grew as Spider-Man, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So I honestly, I think this movie really changed my mind to say that Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man, because I was usually saying that Tobey Maguire is. This movie, it's really coming of age, and he's finally of age. So I can't wait to see what they do in the future with his movies.
Wait, so you saying he is the best Spider-Man, or are you saying?
Sure. Yeah, he is the best Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's a question where he's definitely, obviously better than Andrew Garfield.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, the Tom Holland, I think he brought a new youth to the Spider-Man character. So yeah, but yeah, nostalgia is a good word, Kareem, because everybody, I think, like I told Felicia, it gave everybody that had been a part of watching the Spider-Man franchise, it gave them what they wanted to see.
Right.
So it paid off
It really
without
did.
saying too much.
Right.
Now I
And
like the new Spider-Man, but I may have to go against y'all and say I'm still team Tobey Maguire.
that's totally acceptable because I love Tobey Maguire too. But
And he
Andrew
may have a
Garfield,
little more biases on it. You know, like one of his films was shot in Cleveland, a Spider-Man. So I like to be able to I was in, sit in the audience, you can see it on the screen. I'm like, oh, that's Cleveland. These different aspects. Actually got to meet him and interview him for one of those Spider-Man movies. I can't remember. So that may be, like I said, I may be a little biased, but I do feel what you're saying. And I agree with Chill. Like there is like a different vibe or like this youthfulness that's brought to it. And I think I could appreciate it more in this one than I did in the Avengers movie. In Avengers movie, he was just kind of like almost an annoying kid, but now he's
exactly,
he's
that's how
kind
he
of
started off. That's how he started off. Like I said, coming of age. When he started off in his first debut film in Civil War, he was really talkative and he was really awkward. He was in the one of the battles against the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was talking to them while they were fighting. They were literally like too much talking.
You said we're not supposed to do that much talking and fighting. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and the way to see how in the final battle of the movie he wasn't talking. He might have been like screaming a little bit like to MJ, but he was really focusing on his like battle skills. You know what I mean? So, like I said, he's really grown from 20. I don't remember when Civil War came out, but Civil War Spider-Man to No Way Home Spider-Man.
Yeah, my daughter cried when Spider-Man Peter Parker got blipped and dusted out.
Yeah.
In what was that, in game, or was that Infinity
War?
Infinity Wars, when he blipped out and she was like, oh, that was my boy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, sounds like her and Kareem have something in common.
He said, I don't want to die.
Yeah, he was like, I don't want to go. That's definitely you could see that in that point of time, you can see that he was a kid,
Right.
Like, he saw that he was about to die, and he was hurt, he was scared,
Right, and he was reaching out to his father figure, Tony Stark.
He was holding on, and he was basically trying not to die, and once he was gone, and that was obviously sad because he was one of the he used as much power as possible to not like die. He was trying super hard not to die. That's why it took him so long. Other people, they just faded away, but he used all of his like strength to have those last few words with Tony Stark.
His Peter Tingle.
Yeah. That's another thing in this movie. The Spidey sense was phenomenal. You know what I mean? It was a very eerie tone. You know what I mean? So I don't want to give any spoilers, but during one part of the movie, it was following him. The camera was following him, and he had just such an unsettling feeling. And the music, you know what I'm talking about? Like the music was really, really unsettling. So I extremely interesting, and how the way that they use the camera and the music made it really eerie. The spider in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, it was really like a slow motion type thing. But this was really kind of like scary, which was very interesting.
No, again, anyone who is a fan of the Spider-Man franchise, you do not want to miss this. So go to the theater, be safe, but go to the theater and watch it for sure.
And Miss Felicia, when we were watching it, you pointed something out. You said that it would have been better if we watched it right, because we watched it in 3D, So
yes, you're correct. I was going to mention that because when Chill and I saw it together, we did not watch it in 3D. But when you and I went, we saw it in 3D. And but go ahead, finish your statement.
No, I'm sorry, it froze out. What did you say?
Oh, I was saying when Chill and I went to see it a couple days before you, we did not see it in 3D. But when I went back and saw it with you, we did watch it in 3D. And I will say that there was probably absolutely no difference.
It could have been
At all.
1D.
Yeah, so
Almost.
that part to me was I guess a little disappointing, because I'm like, oh, if it's going to be in 3D and you think of action films, you think that there's really going to be a lot of action like coming out at you. And that wasn't really the experience. So my recommendation is to go and see it. I thought that the movie, and I'm not one of those people that's like a Marvel, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to say fan. I mean, I like the movies, but I'm not like, oh, I gotta go see this, or got the comic books or anything like that, you know. So it was very, the storyline was good. It was very entertaining to me, but to pay more to see it in 3D, it's not worth it. So if you, I would say just you pay your regular fee, see it the regular way, and you're not missing out on anything as far as that's concerned. So they were a little bit lacking with that in terms of the action. I didn't feel like it really popped in that sense, but the film itself was really good.
Okay, we have a man, Adam Morgan, in the house. Adam said Hotep. So I'm glad Adam has joined us.
Yeah. So what is everybody saying about Spider-Man? Are we saying a go see?
Oh, for me, it's a definite go see. It's a 100% go see. Terry,
even if you're
in
not,
the building. What's up, Terry?
My bad. Even if you're not a Marvel fan, like you said, it's definitely a must go. Like, it's so good, you know. And even if you're not into Spider-Man, even if you're not have seen the last movies or seen the Sam Raimi movies or the Amazing Spider-Man, it can definitely be like a great like movie just to go see just with like family. You know what I mean? It's hilarious. There's so many funny moments, and like I said, it's a definite go see.
Right, and without any spoiler alerts, I mean, anybody who's seen the trailer, sees Doc Ock, who we know is not from the multiverse that this current Spider-Man is in. So that there's some crossing of timelines. So to see Doc Ock kind of in with Tom Holland Spider-Man and MJ is interesting. So
that's one of the reasons. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I said nostalgic. Because those movies came out 20 plus years ago. So I wasn't around, but I definitely was around for the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Those were kind of disappointing, but this one, when it brought back all those past villains, it kind of was a redemption arc. You know what I mean? For Electro, they did Jamie Foxx dirty in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but they made up for it, and they made him funny, way more comic book accurate, which is very, very cool. So that's just something I really enjoyed. Electro and Doc Ock were very comic book accurate.
Really? Oh, see, if they were comic book accurate, then I get that. But like, I don't remember seeing the one. I knew Jamie Foxx was in there before, but I didn't remember seeing that one. Like you said, those Amazing Spider-Man. I wasn't like all up on those too much.
Me either, yeah.
So I'm like, either I didn't see them or I don't remember. I remember the Venom one.
Right, yeah.
But I thought Jamie Foxx, I was kind of like, I kind of expected a little bit more out of him, but
really,
yeah.
In the Amazing Spider-Man 2, they had him in like a really weird. He didn't look human, you know. Had him in a really weird, like bluish, and he he was really built weird. Not like, you know what I mean? Like his hair, and he had like glasses, and his teeth were all messed up. And when he became Electro, he turned blue out of nowhere, So I think he was definitely a step up.
Okay.
I didn't really understand the lizard aspect like that. Like, I did not like that, the lizard. I think he was really just useless. I think he was more for like comic relief. Pretty much it. I did not like. He didn't really contribute anything,
Yeah.
To the movie.
All right. Well, I don't want to give too much. I don't give too much away.
Right.
Yeah. So Kareem, feel free to stay on if you like. We're gonna have a guest that comes on in a little bit, but we want
Like
to
in
talk
13
about
minutes.
a couple other films really quickly. So Monday, I went to see A Journal for Jordan, which stars Michael B. Jordan, and it's directed by Denzel Washington. And so I thought that it was odd that Denzel was doing another film about another, because I think Antoine Fisher may have been his directorial debut.
That was his debut. Yep, I
And now
interviewed him
he's
for that.
doing another film on another Clevelander. So I'll start by saying I don't think the trailer really does this film justice. So let me start by saying that. When I saw the trailer, I was not really that intrigued with wanting to go, but I decided to go anyway. So it was better than I thought that it would be based off of the trailer. And I didn't know prior to that Michael B. Jordan's character is actually a real life person who was from Cleveland. I am not 100% sure on this, but I think he may have been from the Lee Harbor area, Chill.
Okay. We had to check that.
But he attended Lutheran East High School. And one of his classmates was there. She confirmed that. And she's also the one that told me that he may be from the Lee Harbor area. So, yeah, I didn't know that. I did not. They don't. So knowing that, if I'm telling you guys that, don't expect to go in though thinking that there's going to be a lot of Cleveland elements in here, because there's not. It's not. That's what I'm saying. I didn't even learn of this until after I saw the film. I did know prior to, though, that the woman whose story this is, her real life story, that she used to live in Cleveland, and she at one point in time worked for the Plain Dealer. So apparently the time that she lived in Cleveland was the time that she was with Charles King, who is Michael B. Jordan's character that was from here. So that was just a really interesting fact. So of course, being an avid Clevelander, I would have liked to see more of that in the film, something said about it. There is something said at the end, the very end, and it's written across the screen about it, but not really during the film at all. So if you didn't know that or do the research on it, then you just didn't know. One thing, though, that I picked up on, and I'm not sure if this is just mere coincidence or if this was on purpose, but like I mentioned, this film was directed by Denzel Washington, who also had his directorial debut doing another Cleveland-based film, which was Antoine Fisher. And if you guys can think back, that was a long time ago, Antoine Fisher, but one of the things in that film, kind of like the comic relief parts, was when they went on a date, like Antoine and I can't think of Joy. I can't think of what her character's name was in the film. But when they went on a date, she would ask him, like, "Are you hungry?" They're trying to figure. He was like, "I could eat." And like every time she asked him that was his answer. And in this film, that line happens again, but it's vice versa. It's the female character asking him, like, I'm sorry, it's the male character asking her if she's hungry, and she's like, "I can eat." And I'm like, wait a minute, is this a Denzel theme here? So I'm not sure if that's the case, but I did pick up on that. So I say that this film is, like I said, pretty much not very different from the trailer. It is really kind of like a dramatic love story. It definitely has some comic relief in it. So it has some moments, some kind of laughable moments. And it's something that you could enjoy. I would say it's like a great date night film. Or it could be a family film. There may be a little spicy scene or two. Okay. You might have to cover the kids' eyes, but the concept of it is very family oriented. So if you have not yet seen the trailer, Charles King, he's in the military, and he meets this woman who is the daughter of like his staff sergeant or someone like that. And he's really into her. They kind of start not even necessarily dating, or they're just having like phone conversations, what have you, but they live in two different cities. So it's kind of like the building of their story, of their love story. And then once they actually get together, have a child, and because he is deployed, she buys him this journal and asks that he starts writing this journal to his unborn son. So he's just, telling him all kinds of things about life. So, like I said, that could make it, a family type film. So I would recommend to go see it. I don't know if it's necessarily either Denzel or Michael B. Jordan's like best work. I won't even say that. Let me take that back, because it's not necessary. It's not the acting that's bad, or the directing. It's just kind of more like the storyline itself is a little bit all over the place.
Okay.
In terms of that, like they kind of switch from different years and decades, and you kind of get confused a little bit, because even the back in the day, the clothing or the thing, the way that the set is, it doesn't seem that much different from the present day. So you're kind of like trying to figure it out sometimes. But I say it's watchable. I think it's probably more watchable on Amazon at home on your couch with your own popcorn, but it is worth checking out. So
I saw the trailer, and I know you said it doesn't do much this, but kind of like a slow paced movie, like is that kind of how it is?
A little, but I'll say like it can keep you entertained, throughout. Like they do add, like I was saying, they do add comic relief. There is like some build up in there, and a couple of tearjerker moments. But I would agree, it's a little slow paced. Yep.
Okay, and we do have at least two more movies, and we got about 7 minutes before our other guest comes in. So you want to talk about 137? Actually, our guest is in the waiting room now, but you want to talk about 137, or you want to talk about them? I can do Matrix really quick.
Okay.
Because I did get a chance to see the Matrix, and like Spider-Man, if you are a fan of the Matrix, this kind of brings everything together. And for those of you all who were wondering, why would we want to see another Matrix film? Because by the time you got down to Matrix 3, people had been all matrixed out.
Yeah.
And they were able to play off of that notion. The movie is kind of self-aware of people's weariness of the Matrix story, and it's kind of built in. So without giving too much away, Mr. Anderson, Neo, is not exactly, well, let's say this. He's living in a world where they talk about the Matrix, but it is in a clever way. And then all the characters that you really need to see, that you really care about, are back in some sort of way. But it's a brand new twist. But all the things that you want to see about the Matrix, special effects, the fighting, punching 100 people dressed in black suits and ties, you're going to get all of that. And all the things you loved about the Neo character and the Trinity character, you're going to love to see that again. So it brings it all full circle in a very clever way as they talk about what the Matrix is in comparison to how the movie began. So
then it gets better, because they were like one was like great, and then
one was the most phenomenal thing anybody had ever seen.
Yeah, it's like it should have stopped there. Like two was like and then three you were like okay, why did
too much of a good thing?
2 hours of my life. Yeah. So you saying that they have redeemed themselves?
It's more reminiscent of the very first one, and in some ways it takes you back to the first Matrix. So all the character and charm of the first one, we return to that. So
are there the same characters? Can you say that without it being
the characters that you really need to see? You're gonna see them.
Okay.
And maybe a few extras that you didn't expect to see. So it's some surprises.
Okay. So Furious Styles gonna be up in there.
I'm not here to say if we see Morpheus, but all I'm saying is all the characters that you expect to see, you will see.
I'm mixing movies, y'all, but I heard from my movie lovers, I'm sure you caught that. You can catch up.
Is it a must see?
If you're a Matrix fan, it's a must see. If you're not a Matrix fan, or if you never saw it in the Matrix, you might be like, I don't know what's going on, and you're not going to catch some of the inside references, the many Matrix 1 and 2 references. You won't catch them, so it won't have the same effect. Probably still a good movie to see, but if you are a fan of the Matrix, and even if you got disillusioned with the later Matrix, this one makes up for it.
Man, I remember going to see The Matrix. It was a great movie, but it was not great for me. I got caught on a date with somebody else. This The Matrix, so it's like big, like everybody going to the theater. So I didn't lie and said I was going. I said I was going to the movie, but I said I was going to the movie with somebody else, with one of my girlfriends. So I get to the movie, and of course it's somebody else there who then went and guess who here?
Yeah, you go get caught going to, that's like going to Red Lobster back in the day. Don't try to go on another date to you go get caught.
I was, first of all, the person who went with me worked in the mall. So I had I'm like, he wasn't with me. He works in the mall. He saw us and we was talking. But they said they didn't see her at all. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. She hit me and her went.
All right. You want to hit up 137 shots? We got about 2 minutes, and our other guest was in and she was out. So I'm assuming that she'll be back.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate the talk. Good to reconnect with you, Mr. Kevin. Thank you, Ms. Felicia. Take care of yourselves.
All right. Looking forward to seeing you again, Kareem. Thank you for joining us
and giving your opinion on the film. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Felicia, 137 shots. Man, it still resonates in my mind, the actual occurrence,
man,
the atrocity that happened in our own backyard. I mean, people, they still feel a lot, about the Tamir Rice, which happened in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And that's also a part of this documentary. But to relive those circumstances was tough to watch, man. It brought back all of those feelings, but now it's even more because you see it in a way that you didn't see it before. Definitely not the way it was reported. So before you start talking about it, a shout out. Did you see Dashiki Shan in the movie?
No.
He had on a dashiki. And I called Shan. He tried to act like he wasn't here. They were in the church when Cornel West was speaking.
Okay.
They were at Olivet. Yep, they were at Olivet.
Because whatever other church they was at, it must have been Cleon in there because it wasn't no members. I'm like, well, they ain't got.
That was the Reverend Chicken Wing Church.
The Reverend Chicken Wing Church. I was like, is the family the only members of the church? Where are the people? So, they were actually, that film was supposed to come out like a year ago. So I had gotten an email about it saying that this film was coming out, and Netflix was looking for preferably like a journalist to review the film and give some feedback because, it's a very sensitive film. And I guess they were, just wondering, like, especially with a person from Cleveland, who may have been up on the information or following the case, thought about the film, like, was it well put together? Do, you think that people would be in uproar about this type of deal? So, of course, I say, yeah, I would love to review it. And then all of a sudden, like, they sent me this link, and then I went to go watch it, and the link was like, didn't exist anymore. It was like shut down. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's going on? So I called the Netflix people and they were like, oh yeah, we putting that on hold till further notice.
It's a very sensitive topic, and for people, and when you see it, it's on Netflix, and when you watch it, even if you're not from Cleveland, obviously we live through this, but wherever you're at, I mean, it's no different from wherever you're at in this country. You're gonna feel it. And I do want to say, Felicia, that one thing uh, that was meaningful to me, to us as members of the Greater Cleveland Association of Black Journalists, one of our beloved members.
Three of our members.
Well, I'm going to say that, but I'm saying one of our beloved members was featured heavily in it, Mansfield Frazier, who it was good to see Mansfield. That was a tough one because everybody knows that we Mansfield passed not that long ago. So to see Mansfield again back.
Yeah, I think his services was just in November, right? Or end of October.
Just passed away. So to see Mansfield in this film, it was good that we could get a chance to see him again. But we also hear the voices of two of our other members, Leon Bibb, our iconic Leon Bibb, and Russ Mitchell. We get to hear them.
Well, Leon has a small cameo. You hear his voice, but there's a small cameo of him actually, like a reporting.
Okay, I might have.
I hear his voice, I think, more than one time, but I
might have been calling Dashiki Shan, like, Shan, you on the show. But
I think they actually show him once, and then, like you said, you hear Russ Mitchell's voice. So yeah, they are.
That was a tough one, Felicia, because to see those 137 shots, to see the crime scene, to see the car, and to have to see Tamir Rice get shot again. Man, that's ooh.
I mean, so those things were tough, yes. But I felt like what was even more tough, maybe for me, like, we already know this story. We've essentially lived this story, being from Cleveland, and kind of and knowing what happened with that.
Keep talking, I gotta grab the phone.
But for me, it was seeing people like I'm not sure what his title was, if it's like president or he was the head of the police union, whatever his title was, like, to just see people like that who are just like, I am going to protect these people at any cost, even if they are dead wrong, even if it's on video, even if it is just clear that they have committed murder. And not only are you going to defend them, but you're going to go and talk to other people, like, and go to a school and talk to kids, like, you trying to put this message, to them. It just, I don't know, that just didn't, that is the part that made me kind of angry all over again. That, with seeing like Michael Brelow in the courtroom, when he's crying and he, like, he is such a victim, because it's just the same stuff happening all over, like right. I seen recently with the lady who killed Dante. My goodness, his name.
And our guest is in the waiting room.
Okay. That she's just on trial, and she's giving this police officer, and she's like, I kept saying taser, when she's crying. It's just like they have this textbook script of like, what, like, get here, you cry, you know what I mean, you're the victim, somehow you become the victim. Right. And it's just so, like, it's sad and it's sickening, like, at right. the same time. And it's just like, how does this keep happening? How do these people keep? And
to what you're saying, Felicia, to hear policeman after police officer after police officer run the script saying that they were afraid for their lives. You're talking about several, over a dozen, more than a dozen police officers firing 137 rounds of bullets at two unarmed people in a car. One by one, they come and say that they were afraid for their lives, including Brelow, who jumped up, ran out his car, jumped up on the hood of their car, cowboy style,
Mhm.
firing shots into the car, to hear him say that he was afraid for his life.
And he didn't remember. He didn't recall jumping on top of the car to do that too.
Right.
He didn't recall.
Until one officer, well, please watch it. You'll learn a lot of things. And like you said, to actually see these officers, to see Brelo, to see him in his home, to see him trying to, explain himself or not explain himself, was an interesting take that this documentary allows us to see. And yeah, and if you're from Cleveland, you're gonna see a lot of people that in the film as well. But it'll take you back.
For sure.
Felicia and I were, working at the Calling Post at that time. So, it was all hands on deck, oftentimes covering this story, talking about the story, giving the story life. So yeah.
So I actually felt like it was well done. I don't think that the people who actually shot the film were from Cleveland. I didn't recognize any of the names. I don't know.
I didn't
But
either, but it was a very well done film.
I felt
I
like it was
agree.
very well done. That it's something that people should definitely check out. It's a conversation piece. It should be. These are conversations that we have to have, that we got to have with our kids. We have to, so it's important. It's a very important film. And yeah, you got Netflix, you should be watching it. So make sure y'all check that out.
All right, you ready for me to let our guest in?
I am ready.
All right. They should be coming in a second. All right. And although it says Juan Goodwin, I'm sure that is not Juan Goodwin. We know Juan Goodwin, and that is not Juan Goodwin. All right, let's get her.
Okay, there she goes. She's off mute.
She's off mute. All right, Felicia, you want to introduce our guest?
Absolutely. So like Chill mentioned, the name on her computer says Juan Goodwin, but she is not Juan Goodwin. So this young lady, for the past nearly 6 years, has been one of the driving forces behind the pulse of the city. And that has been Esha Hand. So she, I felt that it was imperative to have her on here because I happen to know her personally, but a lot of people don't necessarily know, that she is a driving force behind, behind the pulse of the city. So it's who knew that this young Black female, that she has served as the manager of events for the city of Cleveland, and she handles an array of happenings within the city. And these include the Cavs Championship Parade, the RNC, the World Series, MLB All-Star Game, the upcoming NBA All-Star Game weekend, and all film activity that comes through Cleveland, amongst other things. So I would like to welcome Mrs. Esha Hand Goodwin, who's fresh off the plane from New York City. So thank you for taking the time out to join us tonight on this special edition of Chill Talk.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you off the plane and joining us. And I wanted to add, in addition to all those things Felicia talked about, those are the big things. But she's also responsible for a lot of the smaller things and the minutia of if you had a family reunion here and you needed a great big tent, or you wanted to kick it in Mall C, or anything you wanted to do that needed the involvement of the city, she's had her hands in that. So, big things, small things, medium things are not too much for her. She gets it done. So again, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here. And yes, we do a lot for the city of Cleveland, and that is my role. And it's part of service. is helping folks when they want to have a picnic at the park up at Luke Easter, but better known as Wood Hill. That is what I do. I make sure that they're able to have that church picnic up there with all the necessary approvals. Yep.
Awesome. So kind of walk us through a little bit what your kind of day-to-day is, because that encompasses a lot. You know, like we said there, you've handled all these huge events that have
high profile events,
Right.
sure.
high profile events that have happened or getting ready to happen in Cleveland. And on top of that, I mean, because we've been blessed, you know, we've been fortunate to have these kind of high profile events almost back to back. So I could only imagine that planning something like that takes so much time, you know, commitment of time and effort. But as you mentioned, or, you know, Chill started to talk about that, you're still handling the day-to-day things of the city. And you can talk to us a little bit more about what that looks like. But if you could just kind of give us, because I'm sure I did your intro no justice, but I mean, you know, this lady, she runs things in the city, y'all. She run the city, she run the streets, she run her household, she do it all.
So I'll try to break it down in what I do. So right now, what I do is I manage what's called the Office of Special Events and Marketing. And that is a one-person operation that's housed in the Department of Public Works. So how the city is structured, each department has multiple divisions that is headed by a commissioner. But my specific office falls within the director's, his director's office, the Director of Public Works. And so what my role is to make sure that all the films and events that are conducted in the city of Cleveland are permitted and have the specific approvals so they're able to happen. So what that means is my job is broken down in 3 components. And so the first is what we talked about, you know, with a residence or a church or a business that wants to use a public or green space owned by the city. So I issue the permits for the use of that space. So like we said earlier, that Wood Hill Park, the pavilion, or even Cleveland Public Square. So that is what I do. And even a block party, you know, on a residential street. So you would apply to my office. I would review the application, process it, and issue you a permit. So that's the first thing. Then the third thing that I do is I serve as operator for certain public spaces. So meaning like an event manager. So I actually serve as making sure that I'm coordinating all the services for specific public spaces and facilities like the malls, like as you mentioned, Mall C, downtown neighborhood, the Cleveland Cultural Gardens. If you want to get married, I am serving as your event coordinator, make sure that you get that permit, not planning the wedding, just making sure that the venue is together for you. And then City Hall Rotunda, that is also something that I do manage. So if you want to host an event, we get a lot of wedding receptions. It's a beautiful space. I make sure that you have all your elements that you need for that event. And then the historic Coast Guard station, I do work closely with, a lot of people think that it's a Cleveland Metro Park facility, but it's actually a City of Cleveland owned building facility that we partner with. Cleveland Metro Parks maintains it, but I handle all the logistics for it. So if you want to get married there, or just have an event. And then the third component, which is where a lot of these major events fall, like NBA All-Star or Queen and Slim, the movie, or, Judas and the Black Messiah. That is where I serve as a conduit in project management role. So for anyone looking to film or organize an event in a city, that means you explain your project to me. And from there, that is where I identify all the types of permits and approvals that you need from the city of Cleveland in every division. So that would include the fire, division of fire, any fire permits. That would include the public health and, food licenses. If you're having food, if you're going to have alcohol, I make sure that you know how to apply and get a liquor license. So I help you identify all those. And then from there, I walk you through those processes and I help you apply and get all of the necessary permits to help get you comfortable with that red tape. So I translate all that red tape to you so that it's not as intimidating as a process for folks. So from those various divisions and departments in the city, we make sure that we get you through that application process. So
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, you guys, and I can attest to that, to the work that she does and how thorough she is and how she really walks you through it. If anybody attended we had an outdoor film screening for GCUF September 30th.
Yeah.
It was outside on the lawn, the South Lawn at Shaker Square. And I decided, I think we should block the street off. That's just going to be safer. So, I was like, Esha, what do I need to do? And she was like, you need to fill this out. You need to do this. You need to draw a diagram. And she was like, she just walked me through the entire.
And that was like in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. I wasn't going to say that for her, but.
So yeah, I get this. Somebody thinks they have an idea like, hey, I want to close the street down, host an event. And I'm like, cool. When do you want to do it? They're like, next Saturday. I'm like, okay, next Saturday.
You do.
Here's what you need to do. And you need to get it in ASAP.
Yeah.
So yeah, I help, we try to stay within because, there is a bureaucratic process, there's timelines and deadlines that we have to meet. So that's where, I help in that project management role and making sure that you get within those deadlines.
Mm-hmm. Because she's going to help you do what you need to do. But if something is out the reach, she's going to tell you it's out of reach too. So I'm like, well, can I have some outdoor heaters? And she's like, no, fire department's not going to clear that. You're not going to. I like, pump your brakes. Look, I'm going to help you get together so you can get your permit. But now you're doing too much.
Well, I just learned something new. And I do want to talk about some of those other high profile things because there's competition to get these movies into other cities. Right. And but real quick, Felicia, I did not know. I thought the process for having your family reunion up at Woodhill Luke Easter was you just drag your charcoals and your coals, your kinks for coals up in there and get you a spot that nobody's at, start cooking. I didn't know it was a process.
Right, you got to be legit up in here. Some of them
show up.
Some of them are first come, first serve.
Felicia, I thought you just had to be ready to fight with another family over a good spot. I didn't know you had to.
You was here first.
No, that permit.
You said you go to hold the spot. No one can come here until Queenie gets here.
Right. It's some people's job just to go there and sit to hold the spot.
The whole time. Yes, that permit gets you your reservation. Yes. There are some people that will get that reservation, they'll get that permit just to reserve the space, but they will still get there at sunrise. They will get there at 7 a.m. to make sure that they get that specific pavilion.
Cleveland, you hear that? Get your spot. Just don't send cousin Big Steve up there to hold it down. Call City Hall and legitimately have your paperwork.
Yeah, there's no cost to it. It's just like Felicia said, reserve, first come, first serve. You just call my office and we get a reserve. I make sure you get that 1-page application and I'll process it very quickly.
And some things have changed. So I'll say too, if you're used to, if you've done things with the city before and you're like, oh, I've done this before, this is what I have to do. Cause I was like that. When I called to block off the street, I was thinking it was more so like, when we were, would have events at the Call and Post and block off the street, all we needed was something that blocked off the street. But now the rules have changed. Like Esha was telling me since 2015 or whatever the date was, you're like, or 17 or something, you're like, no, you actually have to have an officer there, off-duty officer there to block off the street.
And that's why I make sure that is my role to make sure that because like you said, you haven't done it since 2015 and a lot happens, state code enforcement, state rules change, ordinances change. So it's my job to keep current with what every division and department's rules are and to let you know what those new protocols are.
So how many applications maybe or permits do you issue on a weekly basis?
Well, we get a lot of inquiries because a lot of time, somebody may call, they're thinking about it. I would say I can give you annually, probably weekly. Um, Annually, we have done probably about over 700. I would say I've issued over 700 park permits. And then I didn't even mention the parade permits, because if you're looking to host a walk, a 5K, a parade, or some type of religious procession, I do issue permits that comes through my office as well. And so we've probably issued over 25 parade permits. And then the number of events that come to the what's called the Special Event Steering Committee, and those are those large festivals like Family Unity Day, as well
Mhm.
as a Dingus Day or St. Patrick's Day parade. They would come to what's called the Special Event Steering Committee. That's what I chair. That's comprised of various representatives from permitting departments. So this gives you an opportunity as the organizer to get in front of everybody, the fire marshal, the health inspector, the police representative, any type of permit, the building inspector for large tents. You get in front of them and you present your event. We just want to hear your operational plans. We want to know your setup plans, your event hours, all the way to how are you cleaning up. And then from there, we just kind of give feedback and let you know, like, hey, you're going to need this permit, you're going to need this follow-up. You may need to make modifications. Let's say if you're in the street, we may need to say, no, that's during morning rush hour times. You can't close the road between 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. because that's going to mess up traffic. So we help you. And then I remember and I record everything that these representatives said, because it's a lot for organizers. So to help make them more comfortable, I send them with a checklist, but I also follow up with them, make sure like, hey, where are you at with this? And I say, and I may follow up with the fire marshals, like, hey, did you approve this? I do stuff internally on the back end, on my process internal, since I have a direct relationship with those representatives. So I help the organizer in turn by just making sure that I keep communications with all of the representatives to help streamline that process, so they don't have to worry about checking in and following up on the review process of their permit application. So we did
Wow.
about over 700, I would say, just for the church picnics and all of that, over 20 parade permits, and then just special projects through the Special Event Steering Committee. We probably get over about 200.
Wow.
Wow, wow.
So you're looking at upwards of, or close to 1,000 per year, and you're essentially a one-woman operation.
Yes, I am a one-person operation. And we have just increased the number of permits. I think as now that folks are getting aware of the office and what we do for you, and they're getting a lot more comfortable. Since I've been here this is my 6th year in this capacity, I have seen an increase. So
That's COVID. More people want to do things outside too.
That's correct. And also too, now with, marketing and branding being a lot more creative, especially in Cleveland, there's a lot of neighborhood tourism activities too, with food truck programs. As just a small business owner, more folks are getting into the community with pop-up shops and expos and all of that. So all of that are outdoor programs that need some type of permit.
Right. And I want, as I talked about before, and I know that a lot of these, especially a lot of these high profile things brings more views on the city, brings the extra dollars to the city, and it's competition to bring a lot of those things here.
Yes.
What about the way that you do the job, that your office is designed, that makes our city prime location to have all of these things that Felicia said that we've had the benefit of having and continue to have that a lot of other cities would like to have it. How does the streamlining of the bureaucratic part of it makes this somewhere that people would choose to come and have these events?
So I could tell you personally, during my capacity here and as an event producer, when I used to work for the Sports Commission, that what is unique about Cleveland is that we have this office. As I went out to get best practices and trends, is that what I've noticed in a city that different cities is that they do not have a nucleus. They don't have this intermediary liaison that keeps everybody together. What makes us competitive is that we have a relationship. The city has a relationship with not only all of those external organizations that bring in these destination events, but we also have a unified communication just within the city. Like if you go, like I think I went to a city, I can't name the city, but I went to a city for an event to observe that we just hosted a couple years back. And I was asking, like, I want to meet my counterpart. Can I talk to my counterpart? They didn't have it. You know, the police didn't know what the fire were doing, and they didn't know what public works were doing, which is municipal services, you know, and you need that for road closures when you see the salt trucks in the street and all of that. So that's that one component that a lot of people don't realize, that the experience from the municipality is what affects and what impacts the event from coming back. You know, and I try to tell people that, because if they don't have a good experience, if it seems disorganized, or if it feels like we're constantly going against the grain, then they're going to say, I'm not coming back. And so what makes us different is that we have that unified movement with each other. And this role as special events is the intermediary liaison, to be able to make sure that I have a direct relationship with everybody, with all of the organizations that need to put this together, because there's so many moving parts in a major event like NFL draft. There's so much, you know, that you need, because we have to make sure that the city of Cleveland is an asset. You have to make sure that you minimize as much disruption as you can, making sure that it continues to operate as is. And you also want to make sure that the organizers have all of what they need. And you want to make sure that the local organizing committee that's hosting this is able to work and be able to fundraise and focus on their efforts. So it's my role to make sure that they don't even have to think about the permits and all that and everything that works with the city.
Well, let me ask you this, because this doesn't sound like a job that somebody can just jump up and say, hey, I want to do this. How, and we've seen the results of your efforts in action. How did you get so proficient at this? What led you to having this job, and what led to you being this good at this job?
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say, because this isn't your first rodeo. Like, you know, you've been doing this for 6 years, but then you was doing something before there, and then you actually got recruited.
Right, I'm saying, you just don't jump up and say, I think I want to do this.
You got recruited to come to Cleveland for this. So tell us a little background story.
Yeah, so I actually got my degree in sport management. My dream was to plan sporting events. I know I couldn't play. Didn't know how to dribble ball, didn't know how to run fast, but I knew I wanted to put things together, and I enjoyed, you know, just behind the scenes of the sporting events. So I started.
Are you repping your HBCU? You went to a HBCU, right?
Oh yes, Grambling State University.
Okay.
Yes,
and I want to get that in there.
Thank you. Yes, because you know I love my HBCUs, but I actually was part of the world famed marching band as well. So that helped. Yeah. So just from there, I was able to work for ESPN, you know, working the ESPN regional television with the college bowl games. That's all, you know, logistics, operations, production. So just the importance of fostering relationships through like bowl games, like what just happened this weekend, the Celebration Bowl, that actually used to be called MEAC SWAC Challenge. So that's the game that I worked when I worked for ESPN Regional Television for a while. And then from there, I worked for Southwestern Athletic Conference, where I was the director of championships. So that was collegiate athletics for NCAA, which is, it's all about procedural protocols, rules, NCAA, and it's constantly changing, constantly ongoing. So just where I was able to run that, it was, governed and ongoing challenges, and also learned about equity too, because, you had to champion for the student athletes at an HBCU, which is not the same concerns as a student athlete or an athletic program at an Ohio State, the Ohio State or LSU. So gained all that championing from the SWAC. And then from there, working with the National Senior Games in Houston, Texas, working with their local organizing committee, and learning the importance of the economic impact to a municipality through that. And then that's where I met the Sports Commission, the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission team, because they were hosting the National Senior Games in 2013. So I was able to meet with them and kind of fell in love because, Cleveland was my home. I'm down here being a Southern girl in Houston. So I moved back home for National Senior Games for 2013. And that's where I ran their operations and sports for Ohio Senior Olympics, Greater Cleveland Sports Commission. They hosted that, as well as senior games and gay games. And that's how I got to Cleveland. And then from there, got into convention services, which is a lot more formal at the Cleveland Convention Center, or I guess it's called Huntington Convention Center now, but convention services. So that's meeting planning, making sure that, protecting the assets and the importance.
Now, did you work there with our good friend? And he plays trivia with us sometimes.
Harold Davis. Yes, that's my boy. Yes, we were event managers together. He was a coworker of mine, and he's still there. But yeah, the customer service, because you have to have white glove customer service, and so I definitely learned that in protecting an asset. The convention center was an asset through facility management and convention services. And then from there, that's how I got to the city of Cleveland. My predecessor, they retired, heard about that, and then I applied for the job. And excellent. That is how I'm here today.
And here we are.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And like we were saying, it's competition out here to get all of these events to the end. And we've been so successful in spite of being up against warm weather cities. I mean, not that we don't have warm weather. I'm just saying we have warm weather all year round. And needless to say, I wish we had a plan warmer weather for the NFL draft, because I had to be out there all that time. But even the draft in that weather was a phenomenal event. As people watched and saw all those things happen in Cleveland, and I just happened to be out there freezing my butt off. But the event itself was phenomenal. But yeah, so many other warm weather cities are fighting for these things, and Cleveland time and time again gets congratulated on how well they were run. That's always the takeaway from the event.
I think that's kind of with everything though. Like literally, like anytime my family hosts a family reunion, when it's Cleveland's turn, they're like, oh, Cleveland turns it out. Yeah. Or when other cities do it and people are like complaining, they're like, well, we not Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah, the takeaway is always how good the experience was in Cleveland.
Right. And and I always go back to 2016, which was a great year for, special events, because we had the RNC, we had the Cavs finals, we had the Cavs championship rally, we had the Guardians, they were in the World Series. So it was a very busy time for me, in addition to making sure our neighborhoods and Miss Ruby Johnson got her shelter for her church picnic, because that has always been, you know, of service. I know the Frank Jackson administration now has always been quality of service and making sure, you know, with equity was our biggest thing. And that's one thing I made sure that Miss Ruby Johnson got the same service. We expedite and streamline her process the same way we expedite and streamline the process for these major events. And so over the last 2 years, you know, we worked to identify, because I know with all these good things that happen, there's always more room for improvement. So we definitely were able to identify how we can design like a centralized location of permit coordination for film producers and organizers. So there is a legislation that passed, you know, as an ordinance this probably like maybe about 2 weeks ago. And so the drive behind this ordinance was to make the Office of Special Events and Marketing into a division. So like I said earlier, right now, I'm just a position that falls within the Director of Public Works office within his budget. However, with this becoming a division, it would be the same structure as all the other departments with multiple divisions, like Division of Recreation, Division of Parking, everything. But this would be the Division of Special Events and Marketing, where it would be head with the commissioner, similar to all the other divisions. And the commissioner would have more authority to make better informed decisions with best practices within the events, the hospitality industry, the tourism industry, as well as the film industry. And so the drive behind this ordinance was just better customer service, just learning from customers' pain points. You know, like I said, you always know it's always a good party, but you never know what happens to make behind the scenes to make a good party, you know? So just learning from customers' pain points, where their needs are and how we can improve our methods of permitting. And so just learning from that, this division will create some benefits for the neighborhoods. One, there'll be more resources for improved technologies like online permitting. Right now, we don't have online permitting. Another thing would be to create a film permit designated to show a level of commitment to the film industry. Right now, we don't have a film permit. So we're looking to do something, an online digital permit, so that when location scouts come in, they fill out this one packet, and that one packet will be streamlined by me to all of those divisions and departments, so they don't have to worry about that. And then the timeline of permits will be shorter as well.
So does this make, I know this will definitely make it easier for the person applying for the permit, but does this make your job easier as well?
Yes, absolutely. So this would be expanding it. So with the division, it would also allow for more staffing as well. Right now it's a one person. And so that means I'm doing accounting functions, administrative functions, as well as being a visionary and being strategic level too. So this would help, you know, differentiate with the weeds and all of that, because right now I'm in the weeds, and this would help get some, you know, an opportunity to be able to think more strategically and help plan and provide better support to those external organizations that are doing good for Cleveland and bringing those events and films to Cleveland, and it help better support them.
Now, we were just talking about 130 shots, 137 shots right before you came on. Did you deal with that at all? I mean, I know that the incident itself happened, you know, quite a few years ago, 2012, but I don't know when they started filming and if you had anything to do with that process.
So if I did, I don't know until the end. Like I said, our focus is just on the operation and the logistics. So the actual content, we don't have any involvement in. So like if we know like, hey, we're having a Netflix project coming to town, that's how I'm given the information. They don't give me the intellectual property, but that's not really what my role is, to be involved on that side. My role is to make sure that you are able to execute properly without any any trouble. If somebody sees you with a camera and they call the police, there won't be any issues because the police already know, because I told them that you were going to be out there. So they were out. What they do is they just give me a list of their locations. And if it obstructs anything, if it requires a permit, then I'll help them. But as far as the actual content, I don't have any involvement.
Okay. Got it.
And a lot of times they don't let us know is because we are, a municipality we're subject to public records. So a lot of times, they want a surprise, the element of surprise for projects, and they keep a lot of that stuff confidential. So it's best just to give me, as little as possible if it's something that you want to remain confidential.
They don't want you telling people to go show up and to be extra, like, go be at this location.
Right. Or sometimes like the media will report like, hey, they're out here doing, like a movie, and then they'll give the whole movie away, and it could be a great ending when somebody, rescues, and they don't want that to be given away and spoiled.
Right. But for like a film like Judas and the Black Messiah, a lot of people, knew that was being filmed in Cleveland. It had been talked about for a long time.
Yes, they did, but it was also under a different name too.
I was gonna say that sometimes they don't put the name.
Everybody was saying they're shooting this Fred Hampton movie,
The Untold Story. Yeah,
right.
That's exactly right. And they came to town, and what happens is when somebody comes to town, they pretty much give me a packet of information, like we are going to be here. It's per date, per location, per scene. And so that could be like a thick packet of scenes, at different locations. And so what I do is I typically go page by page with the location manager or whomever the producer is, and let them know what's all needed for every scene. So if you can imagine the changes that happen in the film industry, so you have to be able to be flexible and fluid with them, because there are a lot of directorial changes. There's inclement weather changes that happen. So it's my role to make sure that everybody is current with those changes. Like we talk about Judas and Black Messiah, but just last month there was a project, Wheat Germ, White Noise, or whatever the title. I knew it as Wheat Germ, but it's something else now. But they shut down the Memorial Bridge. So working the logistics for that's a lot of moving parts just to shut down the bridge. You have to be able to consult with the traffic commissioner, with the chief of police, the deputy chief of police, which also impacts the local stakeholders, making sure that they know what's going on. It's a certain time, the fire marshal, everyone has to get this information, and it has to be consulted. So I make sure that they have it to make the assessments, the accurate times, because it impacts a lot. And like I said, my role with the city of Cleveland as an asset is to minimize as much disruption as possible, and also execute it with no issues.
Excellent.
Got it. So I kind of want to, this role just encompasses so much. And like I said, I felt that one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here to talk about it is because, in my opinion, it's just very important to have a person who looks like you, who looks like me, who looks like who looks like us.
Looks like us.
Handling, like that's really a big deal. Like I said, you really are just making the city move, all these things that we want to attribute to Cleveland, as our bragging rights, or, like, oh, we had this movie here, we got this all-star game, or this blah, 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 what have you, and that you are one of the driving forces behind it. So kudos to you for that. First and foremost, but I wanted to talk about some change, because we do have a change in regime coming, and we got a new interim police.
It's the interim chief of police.
Chief, that's what I was trying to say, and things like that. So will your role change at all once this come January 3rd? Will you still be in your same position? Does this mean something different for you with a new mayor coming in? If you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we need to know this.
What currently me as the manager for the Office of Special Events. So it is what's called a civil service protected position. So I'm good pretty much because it is not an appointed position. But with this new legislation passing, which will go into effect in the new year, it will turn from an office to a division where I would remain the manager. However, there will be two available positions above the manager position, which is the commissioner and assistant commissioner. And so those two positions are not appointed. They are civil service protected. So you would have to apply and interview for the job. And so it would be my hope that I would, apply for that commissioner position job for the division.
Are you looking to apply for that position?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. It's good to know that regardless of the outcome that you are still in your current position. But I mean, we already know you're going to get the top position, whatever that is. I mean, it doesn't even make sense that anyone else would be there.
So, yeah, and you were right, Felicia, representation does matter. I don't take it lightly that, it's being, a Black woman in a male dominated field, being here. It's truly been an experience being that and knowing that, I have two daughters. I have a 7-year-old, and you all know as DJ Lily Jade, and a 2-year-old. And just letting, young women know that, this is a road that folks can take, working in events. It's not just, being a wedding planner or anything. Folks can become and work in logistics and be at the boardroom and work in a different capacity of events. So I do have that passion in making sure that this position that I am representing well, because I have a long lineage of ancestors that I have to make sure I make proud.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, you can already check that off the list. I don't even know how you have time for all of these things.
Yeah, but just to go to that ordinance, so just creating a piece of legislation, that's not many don't do that. So the fact that I was able to create that was a really good experience. And so I came to the city, wanting to make a difference within the system. And I believe I did with this ordinance and making that change. Again, believing in equity and great customer service and making sure that the neighborhoods, receive the streamlining and expedited service the same way that those major events like an NFL draft or NBA get that same service. So that's been my objective, and that's going to continue to be my role.
So can you talk a little bit about, one, I don't know if this was your idea to create this legislation, or did you just expound on something that was kind of already in place? And can you tell us what the need or, the necessity for this was? Because it's to my understanding that there were some folks who didn't believe it was necessary, but.
Yeah, so it was my creation of my years in this capacity, as well as my years as an event producer, knowing where those needs were. And like I said, spending that time talking to folks. Like I did talk to, with film location managers, one of the location managers, now the president for Greater Cleveland Film Commission now, Bill Garvey, is one of the things where we don't have a designated film permit. What they're using are construction tailored permit applications for street closure. Felicia, you saw that application.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to have the resources as a division, because we do not have, as an office, we don't have a dedicated budget. As a division, we would have that. And so just realizing that this office has definitely evolved since I've been there, because we have to keep up with the city. As the city brings in all these new events, And as I continue with getting out into the community and letting them know how easy this process is to host an event, church wants to have a service in the street. As that starts to evolve in the neighborhood tourisms, there's an increase in permits. So therefore, when you have an increase in anything, you need to expand and look at your business flow and look at your staffing infrastructure. And so I've assessed that since I've been here. And my first couple of years is just observing and learning the protocol, the rules, the ordinances, learning how the government works. And then from there, figuring out how I can make changes just within the rules. And that's what I did with this legislation. And also looking at other cities, looking at best practices and what other cities are doing. And this is an industry that has definitely evolved. Cleveland is a production city with films. There's talks about studios, coming, and what we want to bring in are it's the streaming services. We want the retention of these streaming services with these shows that come back to the city, because that's what increases the workforce opportunities. Bringing jobs to the city is the continuance of these shows, these Hulus and Netflix coming to the city. And with that is showing a level of commitment from the municipality and how we can better support these external organizations like Film Commission and Sports Commission and help them bring that in, because the goal is the community and what we can do to better support. And that's what my role is. And so best practices from other cities and figuring out what we can do. And the best way that I assessed was that we become a division with better resources. Like I said, a budget, a commissioner with more the authority to be able to make better informed decisions. Because right now, as a manager, I don't have that authority, and having the technology to be able to
Right.
work.
Hey, and I do want to say, especially from the filmmaking industry, people don't understand the workforce that is associated with when productions come to your city. So many people, jobs become available. I mean, not just from camera operators or key grip gaffers, but even to hairstylists, to makeup artists, to food service, craft services. So much work, a workforce is developed in this city behind these events. So for you to streamline those efforts to make these things more doable, less bureaucracy that we have to face, the film industry in Cleveland and the people that benefit from that actually owe you a debt of gratitude, and I'll speak for them in saying thank you for having that vision and foresight to get this done. The effects will probably continue beyond you. So you put something in place that is a gift to the city.
Yep. And also, knowing, and I look forward, to working with the new administration that comes into place and figuring out, what the mayor-elect's vision is and how we can incorporate and implement that and what the plan that we have in place. So, with Chill, like just with the film, I just want to just emphasize with us as a production city, but a lot of people don't know that there is an Ohio motion picture tax credit that provides a refundable and transferable tax credit, 30%, I believe, on the production. So the Ohio, we cap at that reimbursement pot of a $40 million annually. So this is for the whole state of Ohio. $40 million annually. So that limits us as to how much production can come to the city. So, or even just the state in general. So the Film Commission, is their role, to work on the state level to figure out that, and, in addition to the workforce. And so I look forward to, because I just got elected to be on Film Commission's board, is to look forward to see how, as the city can provide support in strengthening that relationship with the Film Commission. So I look forward to having that conversation with when the new administration comes, working with the current administration. I knew what type of, relationship we were having with Film Commission, and I would imagine that it'll be the same, and just figuring out, and with this new president in place, Bill Garvey, how we can work together to help increase that. Because like I said, we want them to come to Cleveland. We want it.
Teamwork makes the dream work, and I certainly hope that we continue on the path that we're on with I guess a synergy between you, the Film Commission, as the new mayor takes office. We hope that you are given the latitude of continuing the work and building on the work that you've been doing. But we will be myself and Felicia will be keeping an eye on that.
All right.
And it's weird, like how Chill talked about synergy, because didn't you worked with Bill Garvey on a project before, right?
Oh, yes. So Bill Garvey, who's the new president of Greater Cleveland Film Commission, he's a 26-year veteran in the industry, and any major project, he was responsible for Queen and Slim, if y'all remember.
Oh, I remember that. That was my movie.
It was cold. It was a cold production. The Judas and the Black Messiah film, all the major blockbuster films, the Avengers coming to town. That was before my time in this role, but I was in the city when that happened. So he is previously a location manager, so he understands it. We have a great working relationship. So I look forward to working with him in this capacity, with him as the president, and figuring out how we can make Cleveland a production city.
Awesome. And what's really awesome is that not only did you identify, the pain points for, people applying for these permits and things like that. Like you said, how can we identify these pain points and make it easier? You actually identify pain points for the city and say, hey, this is pain points on this end, but we got some on our end too that need to be addressed. And then to actually write the legislation to put this in place is that's just kudos. I mean, we're not even going to speak into existence that you wouldn't get this position, but just the fact alone that you wrote this legislation to go into place. I mean, that's just, that's historic. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
That's super big. So
yeah.
I don't know if you want to tell people how to keep in touch with you. I'm not saying bombard her with a whole bunch of permit requests. We're not saying that, but if you just, appreciate this sister and what she's doing for the city, if you want to follow her on social media or what have you, if you want to share whatever form of contact you feel comfortable. Well,
first I got to shout out the City of Cleveland handlers, because that's where you could find out all the things that we're working on, and, with special events. So I always say, get connected with your government, local governments, what's going on, City of Cleveland. But Esha Goodwin, that is my name on Instagram and Facebook. That's where you can follow me. And I'm also on Twitter as well, but I don't use Twitter as much.
I just got back on after like years.
Yep. But I also got to give a shout out, Chill. I see you got the Divine Nine behind you.
Yes.
I got to give a
I'm
shout
rocking my
out
shirt
to my
today.
oh so
right.
pretty pink and green sorors with the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
All right. The AKAs in the building.
Yes.
Hey, and let's just revisit. We got to give a shout out again. I know you mentioned that you have two daughters, but we just got to shout out DJ Lily Jade one more time, because folks, if you don't know, we need to get her on this show, but she's got her own show. So yeah, she's doing her own show on WOVU.
Yes, and y'all got to come on her show. Felicia, she likes to feature her girl bosses. You around here in the city. doing big things. So yeah, she comes on, she has her show, she does a mix at hour 11 a.m. on
Nice.
I think it's a 95.9 WOVU. Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
Lily J with the Kango.
We got a cameo.
Hello.
She,
Hi.
Hey,
she
Lily.
rocking the Kango. That's
Yes,
what I'm
yes.
talking about.
She has
And
her own
Lily,
style.
why we got you up here? Look, she like, no, I'm out. I'm preparing for my
And
own
she's
show.
off the clock.
She's got some big things coming up. So she's definitely following in her mom's footsteps, doing big things and doing big events, in particular. So she DJ'd at the draft, the NFL draft. And I hear that she's got a gig coming up this week.
Yeah, it's the mayor's picture unveiling.
Awesome. So you are attending the unveiling of Mayor Frank Jackson's portraits. You will see DJ Lily J there doing her thing. So
Yeah, I'm DJ.
Awesome.
And also I'm a Cascade Junior Club reporter.
awesome. Okay.
She's a Cavaliers Kids Junior reporter. And she's also will be DJing at the mayor's official portrait unveiling ceremony on the 22nd this month.
Cool. We love it. Chill Talk, love the kids.
Love the kids, and
Yes.
I will see her there. So I will look for her. So
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll take a brief moment to also shout out Mr. Juan Goodwin,
it's my man.
who's been behind the scenes helping us set a lot of this up. So shout out.
Yes.
to
And
Juan.
I've got to use a little bit of personal privilege to just give him a shout out because he has definitely been holding it down, being in this job, one person operation, it's time consuming. Sometimes it takes long hours, late nights, early mornings, getting the job done, pushing out permits in a timely manner. And he's been holding the house down, the family down during those times. So I truly appreciate him as the supportive husband he is.
Big ups to
Absolutely. And
my
if
man,
anybody
Juan.
follows him on social media, because he is just always like, look, my wife is doing X, y'all better learn.
Supportive husband. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Big ups.
So shout
Hey,
out
so
to
I'm
Juan.
definitely gonna be needing to contact you because next year when I start celebrating the 30 whatever anniversary of me becoming Cleveland's first national rap recording artist, I'm gonna want to shut down Lee and Harvard. So
Okay.
we're gonna be I'm gonna need to shut down Lee and Harvard.
Hey.
We'll be talking.
All right. That's going to need a lot of discussion.
Well, he already stopping cars with a big sign over there in front of the church, talking about welcome home, MC Chill, or
Yeah.
and he's on billboards.
And I was
That's what
on
I
billboards
hear.
in Lee and Harvard.
For
So
the
yeah,
city.
That's good stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
we'll work it out.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this late night edition of Chill Talk on a Sunday night. We're usually on Wednesdays, so this was a really special edition. We appreciate you joining us right off the plane.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it. And I thank you for recognizing me and all the work that I do for this good city and this community. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
Absolutely. So we will be keeping up with you, and we'll be celebrating with you when you walk into your new position.
Right.
On the way to shutting down Lee at Harvard in 2022. So we'll see.
We're gonna be there at the swearing in. Is it a swearing in process for that? Chill gonna be in the background yelling out, shut down Lee and Harvard.
Just for like an hour. But no, we appreciate you. Oh, look at that Chill Talk.
There's
Love.
the little one. Hey, Lena.
No, we appreciate you for joining us, especially like Felicia said, right off of the plane. So I know when I get off the plane, I'm ready to lay down and man, but yeah, no, thank you very much. And Felicia, thank you again. The super producer has done it again. So great show. So how you want to do this, super producer?
All right. So You know, every time we end Chill Talk, we got to throw up the deuces. We get to get the good one family to throw up y'all deuces.
All right, we up out of here. We love you, Cleveland.
Peace.
Peace. All right, guys. Look forward to seeing everybody. See you guys on Wednesday.